Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reading Hell, which is just a moment. Sorry, need to set this up right. Okay, so today I'm going to read the chapter entitled Hell in the Red Book by C.G. Jung, Reader's Edition. Which is chapter 12 of the Reader's Edition, page 315. And I changed the title of it on the YouTube video so as not to attract people who might not like the term hell, but the name of the chapter is indeed Hell, as you can see there. Okay, and let me share with you first the image, the calligraphic image that Dr. Jung put at the beginning of this chapter in the Folio edition. So this is the beginning of the chapter on Hell in the Folio edition of the book. And just so you know what it looks like, it's in that edition there, the big one. Anyway, okay. So chapter 12, Hell. On the second night after the creation of my God, a vision made known to me that I had reached the underworld. I find myself in a gloomy vault whose floor consists of damp stone slabs. In the middle, there is a column from which ropes and axes hang. At the foot of the column, there lies an awful serpent-like tangle of human bodies. At first, I catch sight of the... I better start this over again and just remind everybody, this is an act of imagination that Dr. Jung is participating in here. And it's going to get a little gruesome. So since we're talking about hell, so I urge you to take that into consideration if you want to listen to this live stream. And I'm just going to okay. All right. So I'm going to start again. Hell. On the second night after the creation of my God, a vision made known to me that I had reached the underworld. I find myself in a gloomy vault whose floor consists of stone slabs. In the middle, there is a column from which ropes and axes hang. At the front of the column, there lies an awful serpent-like tangle of human bodies. At first, I catch sight of the figure of a young maiden with wonderful red gold hair. A man with a devilish appearance is lying half under her. His head is bent backward. A thin streak of blood runs down his forehead. Two similar demons have thrown themselves over the maiden's feet and body. Their faces bear an inhuman expression, the living evil. Their muscles are taut and hard, and their bodies sleek like serpents. They lie motionless. The maiden holds her hand over one eye of the man lying beneath her, who is the most powerful of the three. Her hand firmly clasps a small silver fishing rod that she has driven into the eye of the devil. I break out in a profuse cold sweat. They wanted to torture the maiden to death, but she defended herself with the force of the most extreme despair and succeeded in piercing the eye of the evil one with the little hook. If he moves, she will tear out his eye with a final jerk. The horror paralyzes me. What will happen? A voice speaks. The evil one cannot make a sacrifice. He cannot sacrifice his eye. Victory is with the one who can sacrifice. The vision vanished. I saw that my soul had fallen into the power of abysmal evil. The power of evil is unquestionable, and we rightfully fear it. Here, no prayers, no pious words, no magical sayings help. Once raw power comes after you, there is no help. Once evil seizes you without Once evil seizes you without pity, no father, no mother, no right, no wall and tower, no armor and protective power come to your aid. You fall powerless and forlorn into the hand of the superior power of evil. In this battle, you are all alone. Because I wanted to give birth to my God, I also wanted evil. He who wants to create an eternal fullness will also create eternal emptiness. You cannot undertake one without the other. But if you want to escape evil, you will create no God. Everything that you do is tepid and gray. I want my God at any cost. Hence, I also want my evil. If my God were not overpowering, neither would be my evil. But I want my God to be powerful and beyond all measure happy and lustrous. Only in this way do I love my God, and the luster of his beauty will also have me taste the very bottom of hell. Hello. So Dan C. asked me, so who don't sacrifice is evil? Yes, you have to be prepared to make a sacrifice. And connection is the concept of the hero. Yes, indeed. Okay, reading on. My God rose in the eastern sky, brighter than the heavenly host, and brought about a new day for all the people. This is why I want to go to hell. Would a mother not want to give her life for her child? How much easier would it be to give up my life if only my God could overcome the torment of the last hour of the night and victoriously break through the red mist of the morning? I do not doubt. I also want evil for the sake of my God. I enter the unequal battle since it is always unequal, and without doubt, a lost cause. How terrible and despairing would this battle be otherwise? But precisely this is how it should and will be. Nothing is more valuable to the evil one than his eye, since only through his eye can emptiness seize gleaming fullness. Because the emptiness lacks fullness, it craves fullness and its shining power, and it drinks it in by means of its eye, which is able to grasp the beauty and unsullied radiance of fullness. The emptiness is poor, and if it lacked its eye, it would be hopeless. It sees the most beautiful and wants to devour it in order to spoil it. The devil knows what is beautiful, and hence he is the shadow of beauty and follows it everywhere, awaiting the moment when the beautiful, writhing great with child, seeks to give life to the God. If your beauty grows, the dreadful worm will also creep up you, waiting for its prey. Nothing is sacred to him except his eye, with which he sees the most beautiful. He will never give up his eye. He is invulnerable, but nothing protects his eye. It is delicate and clear, adept at drinking in the eternal light. It wants you, the bright red light of your life. I recognize the fearful devilishness of the human nature. I cover my eyes before it. I put out my hand to fend it off. If anyone wants to approach me for fear that my shadow could fall on him, or his shadow could fall on me, since I also see the devilish in him, who is the harmless companion of his shadow? No one touches me. Death and crime lie in wait for you and me. You smile innocently, my friend. Don't you see in the gentle flickering of your eye betrays the frightfulness whose unsuspecting messenger you are? Your bloodthirsty tiger growls softly, your poisonous serpent hisses secretly, while you consciously, while your consciousness only of your goodness, while you conscious of your own goodness, offer your human hand to me in greeting. I know your shadow and mine that follows and comes with us, and only waits for the hour of twilight when he will strangle you and me with all the demons of the night. What abyss of blood-dripping history separates you from me? I grasped your hand and looked at you. I lay my head in your lap and felt the living warmth of your body on mine, as if it were my own body. And suddenly I felt a smooth cord around my neck. Which choked me mercilessly, and a cruel hammer blow struck a nail into my temple. I was dragged by my feet along the pavement, and wild hounds gnawed my body in the lonely night. No one should be astonished that men are so far removed from one another, that they cannot understand one another, that they wage war and kill one another. One should be much more surprised that men believe they are close to understand one another and love one another. Two things are yet to be discovered. The first is the infinite gulf that separates us from one another. The second is the bridge that could connect us. Have you considered how much unsuspected animality human company makes possible? When my soul fell into the hands of evil, it was defenseless except for the weak fishing rod, which it could use, again with its power, to pull the fish from the sea of emptiness. The eye of the evil one sucked in all the force of my soul. Only its will remained, which is just that small fishhook. I wanted evil, since I realized that I was not able to elude it. And because I wanted evil, my soul held the precious hook in its hand that was supposed to strike the vulnerable place of the evil one. He who does not want evil will have no chance to save his soul from hell. So long as he remains in the light of the upper worlds, he will become a shadow of himself, but his soul will languish in the dungeons of the demons. This will act as a counterbalance that will forever constrain him. The higher circles of the inner world will remain unattainable for him. He remains where he was. Indeed, he falls back. You know these people, and you know how extravagantly nature strews human life and force on barren deserts. You should not lament this, otherwise you will become a prophet and will seek to redeem what cannot be redeemed. Do you not know that nature also duns its fields with men? Take in the seeker, but do not go out seeking those who err. What do you know about their error? Perhaps it is sacred. You should not disturb the sacred. Do not look backward and regret nothing. You see many near you fall. You feel compassion. You see many near you fall. You feel compassion, but you should live your life, since then at least 1 in 1,000 will remain. You cannot halt dying. But why did my soul not tear out the eye of the evil one? The evil one has many eyes, and losing one amounts to losing none. But if she had done it, she would have come completely under the spell of the evil one. The evil one can only fail to make sacrifice. You should not harm him. Above all, not his eye, since the most beautiful would not exist if the evil one did not see it and long for it. The evil one is holy. There is nothing the emptiness can sacrifice, since it always suffers lack. Only fullness can sacrifice, since it has fullness. Emptiness cannot sacrifice its hunger for fullness, since it cannot deny its own essence. Therefore, we also need evil, but I can sacrifice my will to evil because I previously received fullness. All strength flows back to me again, since the evil one has destroyed the image since the evil one has destroyed the image I had of the formation of God. But the image of the God's formation in me was not yet destroyed. I dread this description since it is terrible. I dread this description since it is terrible and unprecedented desecration of temples. Everything in me strives against this abysmal abomination, for I still did not know what it means to give birth to a god. And then he provides us with this image. Oops. Don't seem to have it right here. Hold on a second. We'll get it. I was playing with a bunch of other images earlier. Okay. No. I think this might be it, the image he's talking about. Okay. Now, there are some footnotes here, and they are apposite, so I'm going to read them. The date of this act of imagination was January the 12th, 1914, so almost exactly a month after Dr. Jung started his visioning process. Jung's marginal note in the calligraphic volume says the same inscription is given to image 64. That's the image I just showed you. And then on the next page, let's see. Talking of evil, he wants to create an eternal fullness, will also create eternal emptiness. And the footnote reads, "In Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche wrote, one must have chaos in one to give birth to a dancing star." And one more footnote. So the text reads, "When my soul fell into the hands of evil." And the footnote reads, Jung's marginal note to the calligraphic volume is the Chandogya Upanishad reads, Once when the gods and demons both with Prajapati arrayed themselves against each other, the gods got hold of the high chant. With this, we will overpower them, they thought. So they venerated the high chant as the breath within the nostrils. The demons riddled it with evil. As a result, one smells with it both good and evil odors, for it is riddled with evil. Then they venerated the high chant as speech. The demons riddled it with evil. As a result, one speaks with it both what is true and what is false, for it is riddled with evil. Then they venerated the high chant as sight. The demons riddled it with evil. As a result, one sees with it both what is good to see and what is not, for it is riddled with evil. Then they venerated the high chant as hearing. The demons riddled it with evil. As a result, one hears with it both what is good to hear and what is not, for it is riddled with evil. Then they venerated the high chant as the mind. The demons riddled it with evil. As a result, one envisages with it both what is good to envisage and what is not, for it is riddled with evil. Finally, they venerated the high chant as just this breath here within the mouth, and when the demons hurled themselves at it, they were smashed to bits like a clod of earth hurled against a target that is a rock. The high chant is Om. Okay. So that is hell. And tomorrow I will be reading the sacrificial murder. And for those of you who know, this is the chapter coming up in which Dr. Jung is required to eat the liver of a little girl. So it's quite gross and shocking, but nonetheless, I'm going to read it in the interest of completeness. So, good evening, Nina. Dan says, Odin sacrificed his eye to obtain the magic runes. Anthony Roberts says, won't be long till they're serving up liver sauce, beans. Yeah, tomorrow. And Gray says, murder of the hero. Yep, this is what happens after. Sean says, I wonder if Shakespeare's answer to government is Hamlet versus Caligula. Hamlet ends with killing himself and all the evil. In a way, I do believe it's better to be a Hamlet than a Caesar. Hamlet had integrated enough shadow to rise to the top. Shakespeare's son was Hamnet, and he died a little before he ended up writing the play. And Marcus Flores says, what gave Jung these thoughts? I would say the deep unconscious, the spirit of the depths, gave them to him. And they're visions that are presented to the ego mind, the conscious mind, by the unconscious in the form of, personified images in most cases. Sean says, we can't possibly know that Marcus, because all of us have our own journeys. The study of Christianity probably opened the mouth to the abyss. Yeah, I think that's quite likely. We all have our own journeys, and we're all going to have different images. Jung, because he was so deeply steeped in the imagery of the Middle Ages, and particularly of Christianity, because he was the son of a Swiss Reformed pastor, had a lot of material to work with in his unconscious. thankfully, most of us don't have that much material to work with, especially if these things come unexpectedly. Grenade says, is there a limit to shadow integration? For me, it seems there are parts of the shadow that are not so personal, more collective, and are areas that don't seem necessary to explore for personal growth, some areas that might have negative effects on mental health. Well, Granada, I think that, first of all, you're right, that there are areas of the shadow that are outside the personal domain, and the collective unconscious of any group would be different, and the size of the shadow comes up based on the size of the group. So when we're talking about an organization as large as the United States of America, we have a very, very large shadow, regardless of which side you're on. And yes, these things can have a negative effect on mental health if you don't know what's happening to you. And as I said, I had a visioning experience that lasted 8 months, and it emerged as this novel I wrote. And I didn't know what to do with it for 16 years, actually longer, 21 years. But after 16 years, the Red Book was published, and I saw that what had happened to me, in principle, the idea of personified beings having autonomy in my unconscious, was validated by Jung's Red Book. So I could then say, okay, well, I guess I can now publish this book that I wrote. But if you don't have a strong ego, you shouldn't be playing around with active imagination, because you never know what's going to come up. That's my belief. And it's not a toy. And if you're wise and can afford it, you should do it with a Jungian analyst. Marcus gives me an accolade. Thank you, Marcus. Now I have to go on to an interview in a few minutes, so I'm going to terminate this session now, and it'll be on playback shortly. So thank you for joining me today. Yes, I agree with Sean. If you wish to go deep, find ways to honor the sacredness. Absolutely. And that's very important. So take care now.